Hello, bonjour. I am so pleased to extend a warm welcome to each and every one of you to this event, to your event. I'm Barb Riley, the founding scientific director for the KD&E Hub, and am serving as the overall chair for the symposium. I do this on behalf of the Hub and in service to you. The Hub's intentions are to create a welcoming and inclusive environment and ensure all people and places are visible, that we're actively working against colonialism and for cultural safety, inclusiveness, and reconciliation. One way to do so is to begin by acknowledging the Indigenous peoples of all the lands that we were on today. While we meet today on a virtual platform, I would like to take a moment to acknowledge the importance of the lands which we each call home. From coast to coast to coast, we acknowledge the ancestral and unceded territory of all the Inuit, Métis, and First Nations people that call this land home. Please join me in a moment of reflection to acknowledge the harms and mistakes of the past and the present, and to consider how we are and can, each in our own way, try to move forward in a spirit of reconciliation and collaboration. The Mental Health Promotion Innovation Fund is one vehicle for moving forward in this spirit of reconciliation and collaboration. With the Hub, one of our core commitments is honoring multiple ways of being, knowing, and doing, with specific reverence to two-eyed seeing. In the Symposium program, we have done our best to honor this commitment through an inclusive design process for the event, through seeking guidance from Indigenous colleagues, through speaker and guest invitations, through valuing and supporting relationships, through encouraging open dialogue and debate, including and especially on topics that may make us feel uncomfortable, through welcoming any and all ways of being present in this event. We are finding our way, and we thank you for your forgiveness and your feedback on ways our intentions were met, on our missteps, and suggestions for how we can do better the next time. We also thank you for the numerous ways you will bring this spirit of reconciliation and collaboration to this event. Wow, this event, I wasn't really sure it would ever come to be. Today was bound to come. This event is our first of what is anticipated to be an annual event. We're grateful to be able to gather as a community, and a community we anticipate will continue to evolve. It includes those who are directly involved in the Mental Health Promotion Innovation Fund and those who share interests with the MHPIF, or Mental Health Promotion Innovation Fund. Both groups are served by the KD&E Hub. This first symposium was initially conceived, as you can well imagine, as a small in-person event, and primarily for MHPIF projects. One of the Hub's pandemic adaptations was to shift to a virtual event. This shift, along with input from the MHPIF projects and others, resulted in a larger number of participants and from a wider community. The Hub responded to feedback from projects about their interest in us helping to strengthen systemic supports for the work they're doing, in part by making connections with people and organizations beyond those directly involved in the MHPIF. We also heard from projects their interest in wanting to get to know each other better, to not lose the essence of the MHPIF as a community within a larger community. At the same time, we heard many expressions of interest from people not part of the MHPIF who want to get more familiar with the projects and the Hub, who share interests in program hallmarks such as health equity, the diverse populations and places engaged, knowledge development and exchange, and upstream approaches for mental health promotion. As a result, the Hub kept the event as invitational and yet also extended more invitations than we would have for an in-person event, That may sound like a long explanation, and yet we believe it's important context setting for the event. All of you are welcome and as active participants. The event is truly for all of you. The larger and more diverse group gathering is one feature that makes this event different from other hub supports and services that we offer throughout the year. So what else makes this event unique? It's an opportunity for immersion, a rare chance to be present for a concentrated period of time and in a designated place, in a bubble of sorts. I guess I shouldn't really be using that word, in a bubble with others passionate about child and youth mental health promotion, CYMHP for short. Another unique feature of this event is a unifying theme that's intended to create some coherence within the event, a holistic experience. The theme of context was chosen given how relevant and timely it is now, at this point in the MHPIF, at this point in the development of CYMHP in Canada, and at this point in the global context within which we're all operating. Together, we will explore the people and places of the MHPIF, the positioning or niche of the MHPIF, the influence of the pandemic, and the potential of all of our efforts to advance CYMHP in Canada. A unique feature I'd like to end with is the nature of the planning and organizing that goes into an event like this. I mentioned this feature to acknowledge and thank a truly amazing team of contributors, speakers, discussants, small group facilitators, and resource people who have been delightful to work with and are eager to offer what they can to serve all attending this event, all of you. You will interact over the next 3 days with over 30 contributors throughout the symposium, and I thank you for thanking them along the way, publicly or privately. A public thank you I'll extend is to a small, and I'll say mighty team that is the backbone of the Hub Secretariat, that makes all things Hub happen. I invite all of you to use your newfound expertise with Zoom reactions to express gratitude to members of the Hub Secretariat as I briefly spotlight each of them. Mary Alice Jolin, the Hub's Managing Director, who provided overall management and coordination for this whole event over many months, contributed to the design of all sessions, and was a primary liaison with all contributors. Mary Alice, thank you. Aneta Abramowitz, one of the Hub's implementation managers who led or supported almost every single aspect of event planning. Polls, polls, polls. More on those later. Slides and all things interactive have Aneta's touch. She also is the primary point person for half of the MHPIF projects. Eric Davernon, also a Hub implementation manager, and ditto above on leading or supporting all things Symposium, including, quite honestly, masterful coordination of anything having to do with technology, which obviously is a whole lot, including, no spoiler alert, but including the video montage we'll unveil later in this session. Eric is also primary point person for the other half of MHPIF projects. And Renata Valaitis, our newest team member, serving as the Hub's evaluation and research manager, whose primary efforts since September only on 2 Hub studies are part of Symposium sessions. Although no longer with the Hub, I also want to acknowledge Lisa Stockton for helping to establish some solid Hub foundations while serving as the Hub's managing director for the first 18 months when the Hub moved to Renison. Sincere thanks to all of you. Namaste. It is also with gratitude that I now invite opening remarks from 2 institutions and people attached to them, without whom the MHPIF and the Hub would not exist. Stephanie Priest, Executive Director of the Mental Health and Wellbeing Division, Center for Health Promotion, will provide opening remarks on behalf of the Public Health Agency of Canada and funder of the Mental Health Promotion Innovation Fund. She will be followed by Wendy Fletcher, President and Vice Chancellor of Renison University College. who will extend a welcome on behalf of the Hub's home and host institution. Stephanie, over to you.
Thank you, Barb. Just checking, can you hear me okay? I'm going to take that as yes. So thank you and welcome everyone. I'd like to first acknowledge that I am joining you all at this symposium from the unceded territory of the Algonquin people, that's near Ottawa, where I live and work. I'm very happy to be here to welcome everyone to the first annual symposium of the Mental Health Promotion Innovation Fund presented by the KDE Hub at Renison University College at the University of Waterloo. C'est un grand plaisir pour moi d'être avec vous aujourd'hui. Je vous remercie sincèrement pour votre participation à cet important rendez-vous pour la promotion de la santé mentale des enfants et des jeunes. To our community of funded projects, I know you've been working with families, children, and youth through this pandemic, and I want to recognize your efforts to adapt both personally and professionally during this unprecedented time. I know you will have time during the symposium to reflect on this and learn from each other. To the KDE Hub, thank you for your dedication and work to bring events like this online and your continued efforts to support the knowledge development and exchange across our community of funded projects and beyond. I want to echo Barb's comments and recognize the central role of cultural safety in this process as we move towards reconciliation and collaboration. I'd also like to acknowledge the work of the Mental Health Promotion IF FAC team. I know that members of this team connected with you over the last several months to support the extension of funding to adapt your projects to the changing context of the pandemic. And I'm particularly interested in early results from the pandemic study in which many of you participated. The timing of this symposium is excellent, if you ask me. You've been working on your projects now for over a year and have seen the impact of COVID-19 within your communities. At FAC, we recognize that health inequities in Canada have been exacerbated during the pandemic. And this was highlighted in the recent Chief Public Health Officer report on the state of public health in Canada. For those of you who haven't read it, you might want to check it out. And it's in things like this that we shine a light on those inequities so that we can take collective action. The process that you are undertaking to support families, children, youth, and to influence the broader determinants of health is part of that and can create long-term and lasting impacts for health promotion and health equity. As Barb mentioned, I lead the Division of Mental Health and Wellbeing in the Center for Health Promotion at FAC, and this includes several programs including suicide prevention, family and gender-based violence prevention, policy development for health promotion, mental health promotion, I should say, and those are just some of the examples. And I think there's a strong linkage that many of you, I'm sure, can see through these programs that underpin our work in public health, and that is our mental health promotion work and our action on the social determinants of health. And when we look at the Innovation Fund, we see the potential, not just as administrators of this program, but also as knowledge users. And we have a role here at the agency in sharing that knowledge widely, whether it be across our division or across the federal government or even internationally. And we're passionate about the intentional learning that comes from the Mental Health Promotion IF. I'm very pleased that several of my colleagues from across our branch at FAC are also attending components of this KDE symposium, and we'll have the opportunity to engage in the rich discussion and make connections with you over the coming days. The Hub is also bringing together expertise from across the country and internationally, and I'm really looking forward to Dr. Margaret Berry's presentation to launch our discussion, I think tomorrow, and help us frame mental health promotion, not just as individual community perspectives, but also from an international community. The KDE Hub is a new feature for the Mental Health Promotion IF program, but we're already seeing the benefits in creating a sense of community, which we're now all part of. And I look forward to trying the WOVA. I hope I'm saying it right, Barb. I was calling it WOA earlier, but the WOVA and the Jamboard as platforms to help us connect and share. I've actually joined on to the WOVA, so it looks like a pretty interesting way to connect. Un des objectifs clés du Fonds d'innovation pour la promotion de la santé mentale est de favoriser l'échange d'informations et d'idées. Ce symposium est une occasion parfaite pour créer des connexions et rencontrer virtuellement des gens engagés dans la promotion de la santé mentale des enfants et des jeunes. J'aimerais reconnaître tous les efforts du Carrefour DEC pour sa vision dans l'organisation de ce symposium et les façons créatives déployées pour permettre la participation et l'échange d'idées, like the WOVA app, and I'm sure some of the other things that we will see, I'm excited to see unfold throughout the coming days. I wish you all the best over the coming days and hope that you can take advantage of this opportunity to make meaningful connections that I'm sure will extend beyond this event. C'est avec beaucoup d'intérêt que je prendrai connaissance des résultats tangibles de cet événement rassembleur. Thank you, everyone. Merci beaucoup et bon, I was going to say bon fin semaine. Bon symposium. Over to you.
Oh, thank you so much, Stephanie. And Wendy, I will pass the virtual baton right over to you.
Good evening, everyone. Bonsoir. Je m'appelle Wendy Fletcher. It is a privilege to be with you on this important occasion to bring greetings on behalf of Renison University College, the new home for the KDE Hub. It is the case that we all live in the times we are given. These, as we know, are challenging times. You may recall J.R. Tolkien's books. In his volume entitled The Fellowship of the Ring, you may remember the young protagonist, Frodo. He's struggling with how dark and difficult life has become. He says to his mentor, Gandalf, "I wish I was not living in a time like this." Gandalf answers, "We all do. But it isn't given to us to decide. All we get to decide is what we will do with the time we have been given." Tonight, we are gathered to lift up the important work supported by the Mental Health Promotion and Innovation Fund to inaugurate the many labors which will be held through the KDE Hub. We've gathered because we have decided what we will do with the time that has been given. We have decided to pour our life energy into the work of empowering local communities and contexts to inspire and sustain resilience, wellness, the possibility of thriving for our young. That is what we have decided to do with the time we have been given. The Hub is home at Renison University College, but why is this fit so beautiful? I really want to say something about that. Renison's motto is Sed Coelum Solum, one sky over all. With these words, we understand that there must be a place at the table for every human being. Every human being is of infinite value and worth. Education in the service of empowering communities, that is what we are all about. That is why the Hub is home here. Our hearts are twinned. They are twinned in this project of equipping well-being, resilience, and life-giving place for all, particularly for those who struggle, for those who have not yet found their place, overwhelmed as they may be by large systems and structures which can limit and oppress. We know this. As with our entire global community, Renison has struggled through this past year of the pandemic. I wanted to see visually how we were doing in the middle of our struggle. So I invited the 150 or so of our ongoing community members to share with me a color, their color through this pandemic. More than 120 folks shared their color with me. And more poignantly, along with the color, in most cases, they shared their stories of why that color, of what was happening with them in this pandemic. The number one color shared was green, every shade of green under heaven, but also blues, yellows, purples, pinks, reds, orange, and gold. The colors were particular, but the stories shared had a common thread. Despite the incredible challenges of the year, the stories spoke all of hope and determination. They painted a picture of resilience, of persistence and determination. They painted a picture of a hope for a new day, a more sustainable and livable, life-giving day for all. I integrated these colors and the stories they represented into a large painting. I named it The Colors of Renison Resilience. You see the twinning of our hearts, Renison and the hub. Together we believe in the possibility of a new day. And through our shared labors, we are working for it, for that new way. Before coming to Renison in 2014, I had worked for 14 years at UBC in Vancouver. I'd been drawn to UBC in part because of the strong Indigenous partnerships which were being developed with First Nations communities there. They had a vision to move beyond the impact of colonization in very concrete ways, to move beyond with shared education, contextually appropriate education as the driver. That work led to life-changing relationships and learning for me. I was adopted by the Kennersley House of the Haida Nation and given the name Tluluxtlang, Shining Raven, and by the Broken Leg family of the Lakota people of the Rosebud Reservation of South Dakota, and given the name Wanbli Wiakaween, Eagle Feather Woman. It's an image from my Lakota adoption, which I would like to share with you in closing. Shortly before we left for South Dakota for the ceremonies, my brother Martin Brokenleg's young nephew committed suicide. This meant that during our time on the Rosebud Reservation, there would not only be celebrations through the welcome of adoption, but also grief and sending rituals. The celebration and the loss in that week are held together in my memory by a single symbol. That symbol is the Lakota drum. In Southern Ontario context, we usually think of the Indigenous drum as a small handheld drum held by a single person. The Lakota drum is quite different. It's large and heavy. It has 4 leather straps on it, one for each of the 4 directions. When the community gathers in rejoicing or in lament, 4 drummers pick up the drum. And then with their other arms raised in unison, together they beat out the rhythm through which the community song rises. When one drummer tires, another seamlessly steps in to take their place, and on the song goes. The song carries on. And that song, which can only be lifted by a whole community, carries that community forward towards its future, toward a new day, a new way. With the new work which we inaugurate in this symposium, we are lifting our drum. We are the community gathered from the 4 corners of this nation, raising this new song, a new day, a new way for Canada's youth. It can be so, it will be so, with our life energy given to well-being and a more livable future for our young. Together, we sing this song. This is the work we choose to do in the time which has been given to us. Together we can, together we will, together we must. Thank you. Merci.
Oh, how beautiful, how beautiful. I mean, sincere thanks, both Stephanie and Wendy, for such thoughtful, inspiring remarks from your whole beings to open this event. You've not only helped to position the Mental Health Promotion Innovation Fund and helped to signal its potential, 2 of the symposium objectives. You also reminded us that we each are invited to bring our own experiences and stories into this community and into this event. Those stories are what will help us get to know each other and our contexts in meaningful ways, the very first objective of this symposium.